one of the things that we've been talking about here at Pinpoint is how can we be more transparent about our own process for building software. We think that all boats rise if we can share lessons learned, challenges that we have, feedback. And so one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is radical transparency. How do we expose, even for ourselves, how do we expose to others kind of what we're working on? And one of the things that we're doing today and what we're going to have in this video is really this concept of the stand-up. This is something that most engineering teams do on a daily basis. We think there's a lot of opportunity to rethink the stand-up, both as a process, but also can we automate away some of the stuff that you do naturally in a stand-up and make it just better. And so we've been working and toying around with this new feature. And today the team, this is our whole team, talking about in an ideation session how we're thinking about it. One of our full stack teams that's working on this new feature is going to present their ideas that they've been working on to the rest of the company. And you're going to hear us talk a lot about feedback and different voices inside of our company, developers, different managers, et cetera, people representing customer voice, et cetera, just sort of talking it through and ideating with the team as they're getting ready to build it out. We, of course, would love your feedback. We'd love you to join the community. If you're not using the product, we'd love you to check out Pinpoint for yourself. But most important, we just love your feedback on what do you think makes a better sprint? What do you think makes a better stand-up? What do you think makes it better for teams to be able to communicate better and execute better? This is kind of the mission we're on, and we'd like to just kind of pull back the curtain and have you look into how we're thinking about it and give us your feedback. Thank you.
All right, so want to present to the company some ideas that we've had around reimagining the stand-up. The stand-up view that we currently have, we'll still keep a lot of it, but we're kind of reimagining it. If y'all, can you see my Notion doc that I'm sharing? Hopefully you can.
Yeah, we see it.
All right, good. Yeah. So real quick, high level on like, what are we trying to do with this reimagining of stand-up? So the first one is, in general, not just the stand-up feature in Pinpoint, but stand-ups in general. How can we kind of diminish or remove some of the ceremonies? That's a question that we ask. Because a lot of it feels kind of micromanaging and it's kind of the same thing you do every day and it doesn't actually really help anybody, especially the team specifically that's doing the work. So we want to kind of challenge that idea of a stand-up and really focus on what needs to be done, what is being done right now, who needs help, who needs to be in the loop, and anybody who wants to be in the loop can be in the loop, even if they're not part of the team or whatever. And that's where that fourth bullet point there on the goals comes in, which is a company heuristic. Like there's in the Nielsen Norman group, there's the 10 top usability heuristics, and the number one they have is visibility of system status, which like from a developer perspective, we all know that, right? That's like Vercel, we use Vercel and we can see anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're GitHub or you're on the Vercel website, you always know what the status of your build is, or if your app's deployed or if it's having problems. There's always this visibility. They do a good job with that. And so from a company perspective, like what does that heuristic look like, that kind of usability thing? So somebody comes in and needs to know, just like our teams, we need to know what the other team's doing and how something's progressing. How do I opt in or figure out what they're doing? And so that anyway, that's kind of high level, a company heuristic of visibility of work, of system status. How can I jump in and see things? And it's not just Jira tickets, just a list of Jira tickets, or not just a list of PRs. Like I went to our current stand-up screen that we have, and I can't remember which team it was, but there was like 40 PRs all across a ton of different repos. I don't know the context. What do I need to know about that? I want to opt in and with the heuristics, and discover and find out what's going on in the company. And it's really hard to do that just with a list of PRs and Jira tickets. So that's high level, kind of some concepts. And then we'll talk about some of the suggested solutions that we've talked through. Does that make sense on goals first before I keep going?
Yes,
makes sense to me. All right, cool. Another thing I'll mention too is we don't want to call this stand-up anymore. Stand-up's overloaded. I think John, his eye twitches every time we say stand-up time. but we don't want to call it stand up because it comes with baggage. People either have preconceived ideas or they expect the feature that we're going to build or features to have things that stand ups do. It's kind of like when you see like like the no meeting stand ups, the like the Slack bots and some of those things. It's really just taking the same stand up and just moving it to Slack. And so that's not what we're trying to do. So that's why we don't really want to call it stand up. Matt had the idea of calling it daily, and I dropped a poll in, and it sounds like a lot of people like that word for just daily because it tells you, number one, how often you're supposed to use it, and then number two, it doesn't have that overloaded term of quote unquote stand up, and then three, it kind of gives us flexibility in the future to add to it and to do things with it with kind of freedom from a certain word like quote unquote stand up.